Court on 3rd of October 2019. I would now kindly request Honorable Mr. Justice Ujjwal Bhuiyan to kindly address the delegates.
Thank you for the bit longish introduction. Anyway, my esteemed brother Justice Bindal from J&K High Court, Sister Dr. Justice Sumant from Madras High Court, Brother Justice Surana from Guwahati High Court, Justice Agarwal from Allahabad High Court, Justice Saikia from Guwahati High Court, President of All India Federation of Tax Practitioners, Nikita Badeka, past President Dr. Saraf, North Zone Chairman Mr. Asim Jafar, Conference Chairman Mr. Sanjay Kumar, senior members of Tax Federation, office bearers of all the tax bar associations, members of the Federation, members of the tax bar associations, the delegates, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to all of you. All my learned previous speakers have elaborately dealt with about the Federation, about the conference, and about various aspects dealing with the topic, the theme of the conference, which is challenges for tax professionals post-COVID-19. So I would not like to add on to what has already been said. As Justice Sumant has rightly pointed out, this COVID-19 pandemic has adversely affected our lives. Not only our lives, it has affected everybody across the board. All sectors of the economy, schools, colleges, courts, everything has been affected. Income tax department has also been affected. So that's why this theme has been very aptly chosen. And I suppose all the topics that are lined up for discussion today and tomorrow will have this particular perspective in mind during the course of the deliberation. Well, from a practical standpoint, we were having the bench, the tax bench. In Bombay, we are having virtual mode, but we are having the roster, regular roster as it is. One petition was filed. I can say about this because the matter has been disposed of. One petition was filed the other day. Petitioner saying that I had applied for a certificate of no tax deduction under 197 of the Income Tax Act sometime in February this year for the certificate corresponding to the assessment year 2021. And that was rejected by the income tax officer on the ground that the period has lapsed. 31st March, the period has lapsed. Then the board had issued an order under 119 extending the time limit till 27th of April and giving making it mandatory for the applicants to intimate the assessing officer about the fact that they had filed an application and about pendency of that application. And that having not been done, his application was rejected. So he came before us contending that during this pandemic, how could an additional burden be placed on the applicant to intimate the assessing officer about filing of an application and pendency of the application as on the date of that order. Order was issued on 3rd of April. We heard the matter. We found that the government of India, the president, in fact, had promulgated an ordinance on 31st of March, extending the time limit, the limitation period for all the specified acts, including the Income Tax Act, till 30th of June 2020, or even beyond, to be notified by the central government. So in the presence of that ordinance, which has the same force as that of an act of parliament, the income tax authorities could not have unilaterally fixed or curtailed the benefit extended to the SSCs by that ordinance to 27th of April. That apart, when the application was pending, it simply could not have been, the additional burden could not have been placed on the applicant. During this pandemic, applicant said that I could not move out of the house to gather the additional information sought for by the assessing officer. So on that ground, we interfered with this and set aside the rejection order and had remanded the matter back to the assessing officer. You decide now on merit. You could not have rejected the application during this extraordinary situation, more so when the situation was taken care of by this ordinance promulgated by the president. So this was a small issue, but it typically highlighted the problems that are being faced by the SSCs and the tax practitioners. I think the departmental authorities will also have to be flexible. They must be pragmatic to what is the situation that is unfolding and not cast additional burden on the taxpayers and the applicants than otherwise required. So this is an issue which only highlights the difficulties that may be faced. Last week, I had attended or judged one a tax moot competition organized by the Chamber of Tax Consultants Mumbai in association with the Government Law College Mumbai. And the topic was regarding Chapter 10A of the Income Tax Act on general anti-avoidance rules introduced by this. And in the morning, I was searching for, besides the Income Tax Act, whether there was any other material. And I found one book published by the All India Federation of Tax Practitioners on general anti-avoidance rules, including containing several articles there. And it was very, very illuminating. So this only goes to show the kind of efforts that are being put in by the Federation in discussing various aspects of the matter. And this, I'm sure this is going to be a topic of the future. I don't know whether it will be applied at all or not. This aspect of this general anti-avoidance rules, I think some more discussion needs to be held, not only amongst the tax practitioners. We may invite policymakers also, because the thought process, one way is, I would not, being a sitting judge, I would not like to make any comment on that. But a view can be taken that the thought process which ultimately led to insertion of Section 10A in the Income Tax Act perhaps may no longer hold good in today's context, when the governments, not only the central government, various state governments are aggressively pursuing investments. They are giving tax benefits. They are giving various exemptions. Now, the company or the company is situated at Bombay. The manufacturing unit is situated in the northeast, or for that matter, Uttarakhand or J&K. It doesn't make any business sense. The sole purpose is to avail the tax benefit. But can such an arrangement be termed as an impermissible avoidance arrangement under Chapter 10A? So these are issues, I think, which needs to be discussed before any tax officer applies this particular provision, because this targets tax planning, which at one point of time Supreme Court had said the art of dodging tax, though by not breaking the law. I don't know how far this thought process would be valid or relevant in today's context. So this is one area where I thought we can still have some debate and discussion. And I'm sure the learned members of the Tax Federation will certainly look into this. They have already published a book, and some more discussions and deliberations on this, I think, would be very, very beneficial for all of us, including the policymakers and the tax officials, lest we don't end up a situation where everything ends up in litigation and setting up not the main intent and object of the legislation. I don't want to go on adding to it. These are difficult times. People are suffering. But as rightly pointed out, every challenge throws up an opportunity. Virtual court, we never thought that we would be having webinars, conferences through video conferencing, but that's a reality. I was not so tech savvy initially, but last 6 months have, at least I can now, not a tech savvy person, but I can calm chalo types I can do now. So that's at least I am before you participating with this. So therefore it has changed everybody. It has changed the habits of everybody. But all said and done, virtual courts or courts through video conferencing, certainly it's very useful, will be there, it is there to stay, but certainly it cannot supplant the physical courts, because we all know the effect of personal hearing, the effect of arguments that when a lawyer makes in the court, when the physical presence and the manner and mode of argument, it makes a world of difference. Virtual court can definitely act as a supplement to physical courts, but I don't foresee it supplanting altogether physical courts. I thank the organizers for inviting me to participate in this inaugural session of this North Zone conference. Well, it is only organized by the North Zone. It has, as I see, it has taken a pan-India character. So this is actually an All India conference. So thank you very much once again for inviting me, and stay safe and God bless.